here we sit. We've kind of ended this pandemic-ish, and we're moving into normal-ish.
Ish.
And for a lot of folks, they have not been trying new things the last 2 years, other than new Uber Eats, perhaps, like what's a new restaurant I can order from, they'll come to my house, or new things they can order online. And so the notion of going back out into the world can be challenging. I know even for me, I'm starting to teach again back in person, and I'm finding myself a little more nervous than usual.
Yes.
A little rusty, because I haven't been exercising that muscle, and I'm finding myself getting a little more flustered in the beginning than I used to. Has me really wondering how my keynotes are going to go this year, to be honest, Carolyn, but we will see. So what kind of advice would you have for us as we're starting to push ourselves back into normal? Because I'm sure some folks are really reluctant to do that. Maybe they've got a little bit of imposter syndrome around that too.
Well, and yes, and I also think that some of that is just every time we think we're safe, something happens. And so we need to acknowledge that there's definitely a sense of real, not just psychological safety, but senses of physical safety that we need to think about as well. The other thing is, when we don't do something for a while, we go backwards on the learning curve. By the way, I'm doing exactly the same thing in the classroom. So, oh my goodness, do I understand what it is? And it's, I think, important to acknowledge that we can't expect ourselves to just dive in exactly where we used to be. We have backed up. We have gotten rusty. We have not had the practice, and just acknowledging that is helpful. I'm over preparing for classes now. I'm preparing maybe like I used to 5 to 7 years ago, because it's a different thing now to go in. And at first I had the expectations of myself that I was going to just walk in like nothing had ever happened. And I think a lot of us did. And it's important to recognize, no, something really did happen. And we're all different people in some really fundamental ways as a result of that. And so realizing that the learning curve is back. You may have thought even Phil Mickelson, if he doesn't play golf all the time, is rusty when he goes out there, right? And so having that expectation that it's not always going to be easy. There's another piece that I feel like I should not neglect as we're talking about that. And it is that there are times when it's not us with imposter syndrome, but it's the environment really giving us good reason to feel like we are under scrutiny and perhaps not belonging. And so if we're going back into environments where we are the only one like us in the room, we are the only person with our perspective, be that, or our identity, whatever that may be. If you are in the minority in a group, you are under scrutiny. And some of us on Zoom, we don't feel that as much, but when we're back in the room physically, we do. And so we may have gotten used to that over scrutiny of being the minority in a room, but forgotten about it. And so as a lot of people are coming back to work, I think there's a definite sense of having to get used to some of the things that they just shrugged off before.